Welcome to Thriller Premium. Welcome to Thriller Premium. In-depth coverage and timely analysis of macro and micro happenings in crypto.
Welcome to Thriller Insider.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. Gather around. It's time for another exciting episode of Thriller Insider. My name's Car Gonzalez, and today is March 7th, 2020. And, Thriller Insider, I really love this show, and I'll tell you why. There's two main reasons. Is I get to focus on one subject of the entire show, and even if it's something small, or something that you might seem is not making sense short term, when you look over the span of these Thriller Insiders, they all start connecting together. So I would even say, like, if you haven't listened to episode 14 of Thriller Insider, this is definitely a companion piece to that. And what I mean by that is that the current bull cycle, episode 14 of Thriller Insider this year, listen to that first. If you haven't listened to it, then you're going to be completely lost, at least in my mind, because what we're talking about here is the second cycle of the bull run, primarily. This is what we're discussing today. And if you don't know what a bull cycle is, and then you have to go back and listen to that, and I kind of explain all of that through, look at the show notes, look at the newsletter, everything explains it pretty well. And I should also mention, we're not going to be covering the same thing. So this is going to be entirely separate to that. And I will say also too, this is definitely like a 1-2 punch. I don't think I've released two back-to-back Thriller Insiders where I've just been like, wow, that's a nice, nice. That's a nice little kind of companion, piece to the other one. And I think when we look back at it, I'm really looking forward to seeing, like, if we look from a year from now, I'm really looking forward to see how right I was about this. This will really tell you if my research and analysis is really in the right place. I think it is. I think we got something pretty exceptional today. And today we were talking the 57.13% Bitcoin theory. Yeah, kind of sounds heavy, doesn't it? Yeah, I sent it out via Twitter, and I wanted people to know, like, 57.13% Bitcoin theory. And a lot of people probably never even heard of that. Or I tried searching for Reddit through it, and I couldn't find any info on that. There are some, like, trader forums you can hear people talking about 57.13% Bitcoin theory, or you can even go to, like, the old Bitcoin talk, and you can see in there that there was some talk about it in previous past. But nothing concrete. I think today what we have is probably the most concrete kind of explanation of it. I think that's out there, in my opinion. I could be wrong. But okay, so I'm going to be really excited about this because I think we just kind of nailed it here. And I'm hoping I should also preface this by saying that, all this is just analysis and research that I've done. And I wouldn't bet the farm on it because you never know, especially with, the way the economy is right now, it's already kind of up in the air what's going to happen. And then you throw that on top of Bitcoin, even though I feel like it's totally different than the rest of the economy. In my opinion, I feel like Bitcoin and crypto is its own separate thing. But some people don't, but I feel like it is. But anyway, with that being said, I will say that, maybe don't bet the farm on what you hear right now, even though personally, I'm probably going to bet the farm on it just because I trust the research I've done. And, that's all I can say. But anyway, so what I have here is pretty astounding. And I will say, like, this is all just speculation, and theory. There's a lot of math to it, and the math, I'll put it in the newsletter. You'll see the math. It all adds up. And you look at previous highs, it all matches up there too. I spent about a good 6 hours just on this one subject. So, hopefully you guys enjoy it. Okay, so let me tell you what this is all about, because basically we're going to do an analysis on Bitcoin today. And you're probably wondering, like, Car, you always do an analysis on Bitcoin. I do. But man, Bitcoin's so fascinating because there's just so many different layers and different areas to look at when it comes to Bitcoin. Like, we haven't even covered the majority of it. It's really the subject that keeps giving in a lot of ways. A lot of people in this space feel the same thing. Like, you hear a lot of people that are into Ethereum heavily, and they're like, how do people get caught up with just one coin, Bitcoin? And I'm just like, man, you have no idea. You have to really spend a lot of time with Bitcoin to understand that there's so many different facets to it. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Ethereum projects, and I love me Ethereum. It's just as fascinating. But I feel like with Bitcoin, it's so singular, but there's so many different dimensions to it. Okay, so we're talking primarily price today. And we're going to go through the 2018 and 2020 halvening. Or actually, we're going to go through the 2018, 2020 halvening, which is going to happen this year, and then the oncoming bull market. So if we look at the former 2014, 2016 bull run cycle before the two halvening events, between the second and third. So if you look at, all the links are in the show notes, but if you're just driving right now and you're listening, we have to look at the past previous bull run, and we'll look at the current bull run that we're in right now. And the main goal is now determine like what the pre-pump price is going to be. There's so many people out there that are like saying there's not going to be a pre-pump, that, you know, even last week there were people saying that we weren't going to get above, 9K ever again. And what happened later this week, we got above 9K because the Fed cut rates, right? So that was a surprise, and they're going to continue to cut rates here on the 18th or whatever it was that we discussed last week in Bitcoin in March. But what's going to happen is that's all going to attribute to this. That's why it almost becomes inevitable in a way, but at the same time, it's not. It's just tough. Okay, so the main thing that I've been trying to get at, the main thing I've been trying to crack, like this whole month and previous months, and like I'm trying to get a price. Like, I need to know. Like, it bothers me not knowing what the level should be at when I escape pre-pump to the halvening. Like, I don't want to be caught like, at 12K or something, and then pull out, and then it keeps going up higher, and then wondering like, oh, I took out too early. I want to be able to know what exactly the top is. Like, I'm tired of not knowing like what the top is. And if there's anything in this space, it feels manipulated most of the time. But in actuality, the more research I do on this subject with Bitcoin and the price levels, like the more actual trading volume that comes in this space, like the more I realize that everybody's just using algorithmic bots, and a lot of people are following previous patterns in Bitcoin's 10-year history. But it's done it's done really fast, and it's done on a moment's notice. All we have are just rough estimates and rough percentages, between 5 and lower percent. I mean, there's really not a lot of give there. So if we look at the numbers, we can see that this 57.13%, this is Bitcoin theory, because this is all based on this 57.13% Bitcoin theory. Bitcoin always peaks at 57.13%. And this is the way it's always been since the last high in the bull run that we had in 2017. So let me break that down one more time. So Bitcoin always peaks at 57.13% higher than its last high in the same bull run. Okay. And that's, you have to give and take that 5%. So it could be 52, it could be 57, it could be 62. Like, there's 5% on either side. So mainly just need to keep in mind that Bitcoin always peaks at around 50% or higher, right? So I like to go with 57.13 just to be accurate. And that's what this episode's called. So we look just at the current first half of this bull run. We'll see that the first peak was reached at $5,642. And that's an increase by 57.13%. If you do the math on that gets to $8,865. But we actually reached $9,008. That's an increase by 57.13%. And so you kind of get that, right? So if you go even higher than that, plus you add 57.13% of $9,008, you get $13,930, which was actually $13,796 last year during the April Fool's bull run, right? Remember we had that, it shot up to 14K. It was actually 13,796. And this was because it had increased by 57.13%. It was astounding. When I saw this, I was just like, what? Like, how did I never put the math together? It was weird. Like, I saw this and I went back further, and sure enough, like, you see it all the way through that second, the second halving, before and after. So if you do this again, if you increase the 57.13%, into the 13,796, you get 21,888. Yeah. So that's kind of crazy right there. That's 21K, right? So you can also confirm this theory from the last bull run, right? Which if we apply the same type of math to it, the first peak was at $314. Now, if you apply 57.13%, you get $495. You add 57.13% to that, you get $778. You add 57.13% to that, you get $1,223. Same thing. You add 57.13% to $1,223, you get $1,922. If you add 57.13% to $1,922, you get $3,020. Now, if you add 57.13% to $4,746, you get $7,458. Do you guys see the trend here? Okay. And it keeps going up. It goes to 11,719, and then it goes to 18,414. Now, remember when I told you in the beginning that it's give or take 5%? Well, these were all projected prices using the 57.13% theory, right? From the previous bull run. I'm talking about the 2017 height of 20K, right? Now, the actual price during that bull run started at 495. Then it went to 778, and this is all using 57.13%, right? Then it went to 1191, which was, I think we said 1223, 57%, so it was roughly down 5%. And then it goes up to 1873, which is down from 1922, which we projected using the 57.13% theory, but that's still, like $50 off? Same thing, $3,000, and then $4,974, and $7,776, and then $11,517. Remember that? That was in October of 2017. You add 57.13%. That gets you to $18,414, but the actual price was $18,353. So it missed it by what, $75? Lower than that, $60, something like that. So what I'm trying to say is this theory holds it stands on its own feet. It's crazy. Like, when I started looking at this, it was like one of those things where I was like, how has no one ever said this before? And so I was like talking to my wife about it. I was like, hey, I think I just figured out something. And she was like, what did you figure out? And I was like, there's this theory, 57.13%. And if you add it to the previous jumps on this, on previous bull runs in Bitcoin, it almost equates by, roughly 5%. So it got me thinking, now let's play that out this way. Like, what does that look like if we play the 57.13% theory on this side, right? Because we know last year we were at, 13K, somewhere, or we were at 13,796. So we know, hey, this is kind of going into effect, right? And sure enough, if you do it, it does. So let's just go off the top and say that the last bull run was an anomaly because it was $20,089. That was the height of 2017 or 2018, whatever it was, right? I forget the date. It's been so long. But what I'm trying to say is that we were projected at 57.13% on top of 11,719. So we were off by $2,000. But in actuality, if you do the 5%, kind of variance on there, then it was on the plus side of 5%. So I think you could safely say that 57.13% is a safe bet for calculating the height of Bitcoin, give or take 5%. I would say that, right? Now, if you think that it just kind of popped off the top because of rush of retail market, then it makes sense because 18 would have been it. But then CNBC and everybody else started jumping in and talking about Bitcoin. And then your grandmother started calling you about Bitcoin. Like, it all kind of took off on its own. So that's probably where we saw the height, but it adds up. It definitely adds up. And like I said, you have to look at the show notes on this one. Like open your email. I sent it to your email. So look at the show notes because I'm rattling all these numbers and it doesn't make sense. Like I'm pretty sure, because if I were to tell you this, you'd probably be like, okay, Car, all I'm hearing you keep saying is 57.13% and how every high that we get, every peak that we get, it always adds another 57.13%, especially during a bull run. And yeah, that's what I'm basically saying. But let's look at now. Let's look at applying this 57.13% Bitcoin theory to the rest of this run. Because why the hell not? Because I've literally just been like trying to figure this out. Not only for myself, but for a lot of people. I'm trying to like really look at this and trying to get a good accurate price on, because I've been saying like, oh, I think we're gonna get to between 13 and 14K, and that's kind of my safety net, and that's where I'm thinking. But when I'm looking at this long term, 13, 14K feels right to me. It feels safe for where we're in right now. It just feels right. And then I look at December, like I want to say 10, but something's telling me it could be closer to 20, but I don't have any proof to back that up. It's just more of a feeling, right? After a while, you start going off your feelings, and that's just a bad way to trade. You need some math behind it. And so I was thinking, well, let's just look at if we apply this 57.13% Bitcoin theory to the rest of this, bull run that happens after the halving, because this is going to be the second part to this major bull run that we're going to have. And we know that we're going to get somewhere in the 80 to 200K range, right? That's where we're all kind of think, but we don't know where exactly. But if you follow this 57.13% Bitcoin theory, you can kind of see exactly where it's supposed to be. So it's projected that if we reach, and we've already previously reached 13,796, that was that 14K that we had in April Bulls run. So if we get back there, which I think we will here pre-pop to the halving, I think we will get to that $13,930 range. And I have been saying that, like I've been saying, we're going to get somewhere between 13 and 14K pre-pump high, and then we'll fall back down. But I had been feeling that way for like, I want to say about 3 or 4 months already, but I just haven't had any kind of like true concrete math behind it. But if you look at the 57.13% theory, there's the concrete math behind it. It literally tells you that it's going to be $13,930. So what happens after that? Because we all know that we're going to get that pre-pump to the halving on May 12th or wherever date that's going to be. And then what happens after that? Well, we're going to fall. And I believe it's all going to kind of line up with exactly what's going on out there with Corona and how supply chains are going to stop and a mild recession. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's all going to kind of play together. But if you add this 57.13% Bitcoin theory to the rest of this run, you get the following: 21,888, 34,393, $54,042, $84,916, $133,429, $209,657, and then $329,434. Remember the previous Thriller Insider, I was talking about how we need to start expecting Bitcoin to start making these 10K drops and 10K jumps. That's what's going to happen here in the second half of this Bitcoin run, this bull run, or I should call it the golden bull run. We're going to start seeing 10K jumps. These 1K jumps are gonna still happen. It'll probably be on a daily basis, 1K jumps, but we're going to start seeing 10K jumps. That's what's going to happen, right? And we probably won't see those until 2021, just to, curb your enthusiasm, no pun intended, but do you know what I mean? Like, just to let you know, like, hey, we're not seeing 10K jumps this year. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're going to see 10K jumps in 2021, and people are going to be like astounded when we start seeing 10K jumps. It's going to be shocking. Myself, I will be shocked, but all the math is pointing this way. So there's no way it can make 1K increments So I don't know if you guys remember 2017, but in 2017 there was a point where we were going up $100, $200, $300 a day, and then I don't know if it was like October, but we started making like these 1K jumps in October. It was ridiculous. It was so crazy because every day I would come into work and talk to my coworkers, and we'd be like, "Holy crap, it's 10K! Holy crap, it's 14!" Like it was just running, and it was during this October bull run that we had in 2017, and it was just astounding to see these 1K jumps in 24 hours. And that's going to be the same thing that we're going to see in 2021. We're going to see these 10K jumps in 24 hours, and people are going to flip out because they're like, what? We're going from 34K to 44K. Like, it's just going to be absolutely insane. It's not going to make any sense. But what I'm trying to say is, this is the 57.13% Bitcoin theory, right? Okay, so now that we know the prices that are coming, we have to keep in mind that eventually, through these 10K jumps, buying will exhaust at some point. So it's important to keep that in mind. I'm not saying we're going to get up to 329K. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you apply this 57.13% Bitcoin theory to previous high, to previous high, to previous high, it leads you all the way up there. But at least we know what we should be shooting for. Because if this is indeed an algorithmic kind of bot trading scenario that it's kind of turned into the Bitcoin trading market, then they're looking at the same data that I'm looking at. Okay, so you're probably at this point completely frustrated because you're like, Car, quit feeding me hope about Bitcoin. I'm already buying Bitcoin. I'm listening to you right now. I'm driving, and you haven't given me shit when it comes to time and targets. And you need to give me substance, Car. You can't just give me these crazy theories and expect me to believe you. I get it. I totally get it, and you're right. Keep driving. You're right. I'm about to give you that right now.
I got realness. I just kill shit cause it's in my DNA. I got millions. I got riches building in my DNA. I got dark. I got evil that rot inside my DNA. I got off. I got trouble. Some heart inside my DNA.
Okay. 57.13% Bitcoin theory. Now we're going to do the variance plus minus 5%. So keep that in mind. If we go by this theory and we apply it for the rest of the year and apply it to next year, these are our targets. And we'll know right away. Like, I feel like as soon as we get to the pre-pump to the Bitcoin halving, if we hit that target of 13,930, somewhere in that range, then we know this 57.13% Bitcoin theory is going to apply to this next bull run. But by December of 2020, we are looking at $21,888. So that means that Bitcoin is going to double by December 2020 using this 57.13% Bitcoin theory. Now, it's going to eclipse the previous high. It's going to be 21K by December. So that means that if we hit that by December, then we're going to see some really interesting things happen here in 2021. So let's look at that. By February of 2021, we're going to be at 34K. Yeah, $34,393 to be exact, using this Bitcoin theory. And this is where I'm talking about making these 10K jumps, right? It's gonna freak people out. If we use that 57.13% Bitcoin theory applied to that 34K, by May of 2021, we're going to be at $54,042. Yeah, 54K. It's pretty amazing. Now, if we apply that same 57.13% Bitcoin theory, because last time in the previous halving, we had a sell-off in the middle of June and July, right? And I'm talking about the previous bull run after the second halving. We had a sell-off in June of 2017. Okay, so we'll probably see a little dip here in June and July of 2021, but by August we're going to be at 84K. Yeah, $84,916 to be exact. So we'll be at 84K by 2021 in August of that year. Now this is where it gets kind of shaky, because this is where it gets kind of weird, because we're going to, according to this, if we use this 57.13% Bitcoin theory, then we're going to be at $133,429 between October and December of 2021, sometime between there. And then we still have that next target of 209, right? I don't know if we're going to get that high. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if we're going to get above 84. But I threw the 133K in there because it's one of those where I'm like, well, it kind of just depends. Like it kind of just depends on how the market is at that time. And there's no way anybody could tell you like what that's going to look like. Even by me giving you this safe guess using this 57.13% Bitcoin theory, like even by me applying this to these highs, it's still not a definite thing. But I'll tell you where this helps though. This helps because we'll know exactly what the trajectory is. And I think for so long, we kind of knew it was going to get above 50K in 2021, but we didn't know how much higher than that, right? So I would say if we get above 84K early in 2021, then we still have a run up to 133K or something close to that. So that just clues you in that, hey, maybe not sell just yet, right? So yeah, it's a lot to take in, and I highly recommend you look at the newsletter, and I highly recommend you share this out, because I think by getting this out there for a lot of regular retail investors like us to know about, I feel like this helps. This is going to help a lot more people, especially people like myself who like puts a vast majority of his money into Bitcoin. Yes, I have a 401k and stuff, but it's not quite the same. I'm not expecting anything from that 401k, right? It's just because my employer matches it, right? So it's one of those where I'm like, yeah, well, hoping for that somewhere down the line. But with Bitcoin, it's something I feel like I'm in control over, right? So this is good information to get out there to regular retail people that are retail investors like ourselves, and even to maybe some hedge funds that are out there that don't even know about this theory, because I haven't seen them talk about it, and I'm subscribed to a lot of their newsletters. So it's going to be interesting to see how this circulates. So if you guys can share this out, it'd be awesome. It'd be fun to see if other people are talking about it here in a week's time, because I would like to see if by getting this out there, people kind of either criticize it, or they actually maybe check the math on it, or maybe they actually look at it and say, oh, you got this wrong. It should be this percentage. Either way, it starts the conversation about this 57.13% Bitcoin theory, because at a certain point you start realizing, especially with Bitcoin, that it just becomes inevitable for a lot of things. So just to recap, 21K by December of this year, according to this 57.13% Bitcoin theory, 34K by February 2021, 54K by May 2021, 84K by August 2021, and then after that, it's kind of up in the air if we're going to hit 133K between October and December. We just don't know. We just don't know what that's going to be, right? So that might be for the next, bull cycle, right? So we just don't know. Okay, I think that's all I got. I hope this was informative. I feel like if you didn't understand any of this, go back and listen to the previous Thriller Insider, because I feel like that's going to help out a lot. It kind of explain the two halves of the current bull run, and it kind of explains the golden bull cycle and how all that works too as well. And if you do your math on this too, like check my math, it adds up perfectly. So I'm hoping this will give you guys some kind of more patience, and I hope it gives you kind of like a good feeling, because I feel like when I did the math on this and I started looking at this, I was like, I feel good now. It was like almost like a relief, because I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm expecting 13,973, right? I'm sorry, 13,930 here in the pre-pump, so I know I should exit there, right? And then at the end of the year, I'm expecting 21K, right? And we'll see if that comes true or not. But I'm like, gosh, how do I say this? I feel like I'm like 75 to 78% sure that this is fairly accurate. Looking at the previous bull cycle and then looking at this current bull cycle, I think this is as safe of a guess as you can get in Bitcoin trading. in a way. But to keep in mind that 5% variance, right? So either on the plus end or the minus end. So take a look at the show notes. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share this out to anybody that's in Bitcoin right now and wanted to know what the current price targets are, because this is just according to math, what the current price targets should be. It doesn't mean that this is an actual scenario, but this is way better than some anonymous person on 4chan sharing their targets, because they're going to be, because they don't have there's no math behind it. There's no proof, right? There's no history that they can look at. And one of the great things that's going for right now is Bitcoin is that we have a 10-year kind of path that we can see. And that's so good right now to have. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the show, and feel free to share this out. Okay. You know, part of the mission of me starting this Thriller Crypto subscription was to get more knowledge and become more informed for the rest of y'all. I realize that a lot of us don't have the extra spare time to spend on this, but it's honestly an honor to put all this stuff together for y'all and really spend the time to really research it. And yeah, it's awesome. I love doing it. And I really thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to do that for y'all every week. So if you haven't, shared this out, share it out, tell a friend, tell them that if they want to get into Bitcoin, there's a really cool guy named Car, and he's giving out some really key nuggets that haven't led me astray. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys share it out. And I think this 57.13% Bitcoin theory might be something that we could probably kind of stress test and see where we end up. So it's going to be interesting. See y'all next time.